name is Stefan Alexis, and my project is called Chains and Crowns. This project is about dissecting the idea of misinterpretation and misrepresentation within the African American and Canadian community. So, the reason why I believe that this project is important for us as a people is because I've seen a lot of misrepresentation, misinterpretation of a lot of things that make people who they are. And when those things are misinterpreted, it takes away from people's identity. So my goal through this project is to give these people a chance to regain their knowledge, regain their heritage, for them to see that they're able to be impactful through these hardships that they were not sure about before or not knowledgeable about before. Most of my projects that I've done ongoing have been about empowering the communities that I belong to, whether that be the sick kids community from when I was a child, whether that be the special needs community, caregiver community. Because I see these as communities that don't necessarily get the light and get the voice that they usually would on a day-to-day basis. So my goal is generally to portray these demographics in a different kind of light and bring them to a platform where they're better understood, so that us as a people can better understand each other, so that we can have a better community, better understanding, and that we can help each other and be able to empathize with each other's experiences as we walk through this life. Throughout this project, my goal was to highlight the hair because of my own personal experiences growing up. I have, of course, a lot of Black family members that have had a lot of experiences and a lot of turmoil when it comes to their hairstyling and treating their hair. So this was something that I wanted to integrate in my project because it's so deeply rooted in our day-to-day lives, but it's also deeply rooted in who we are as a people and our culture. And the reason why I shot this project in this particular way is because as a child, I was generally the only Black kid in my class. And a lot of people would come up to me and ask me to touch my hair because my hair was very different from everybody else. And it was okay for me at first, but I realized that after a while I didn't feel like a person in that instance. I felt like an object for people to like kind of look at and, you know, kind of admire. So I wanted to show that aspect, the face value of these experiences that I was having and other friends of mine were having, and then have the content behind it showing what was really going on and what these hairstyles and these things that people were admiring, where they really come from, and how they how they help us develop ourselves into who we are. A large component of this book is the imaging, but I feel personally that another large and as equal component of this book is the history behind it and the research behind each hairstyle and the history of the culture that came from these hairstyles. So as I was doing this project, I had one kind of idea in mind in terms of getting this information and bringing it to light and kind of showing where these came from. But as I continued to do research diving into the Jim Crow era, diving into slavery, diving into you know, the Afro hair movement, I started to realize that this was much deeper than I had initially anticipated. And I went through lots and lots of emotions. I was angry, I was hurt, I was sad, I was happy that, you know, these things were coming to light, and I was able to experience and learn about my own culture. But I was also saddened because I found that a lot of the information that I was looking for wasn't necessarily available. And I found that a little discouraging because I feel like growing up, I didn't have much knowledge about my heritage as a black man, and it was a little disheartening that I couldn't even find some of that information on my heritage online. So I'm hoping that that with this project, it'll kind of encourage people to dive deeper into these hairstyles, into this heritage, so that other people are able to, learn about who they are in their heritage. At the end of the day, even though we have been through hardships in our lives, we do come from kings and queens, and I know it's hard even in this day and age where we see a lot of violence and we see a lot of injustice, that it's easy to get down on ourselves and have ourselves feel like we're not adequate. But I'm hoping through this project that we'll be able to see ourselves again as kings and queens, because we really are those people. There's this book that I was reading that really captivated me, and it had this quote that really stuck with me. Nothing beautiful comes without some suffering. And I know that this is something that's hard to grasp, because when we're suffering, we tend to stay stuck in our suffering and not see the bright side of things. But I see, as our culture, we've gone through a lot of suffering, and I see the people that I've interacted with and the love that comes from this community. And it really inspires me, because there's been so much suffering in the past and so much suffering today, not just as like a community, black community, but as people in general. We suffer, and I feel like that's what makes us who we are today. We're people that are able to empathize with others. We're people that are able to love each other. We're people that are able to cry with each other, laugh with each other. So I hope that, as we move forward, we're able to see ourselves in that light, and even though that we do go through suffering and we do suffer in life, that we're able to take that suffering and translate it into something that'll allow us to connect with each other through that and help us to care for each other, because we have experienced those hardships ourselves. So you can find my work online at stephanalexis.com. Also on Instagram at Stephan_Alexis.